if you aren't subscribed to The Athletic, they do NBA anonymous player polls, okay? And they did a few. They did players you would least want to fight, which a Piston was on that list. Surprise, surprise. Arenas that you opposing players don't like playing to. LCA was on the list. And coaches that you would least want to play for. Monty Williams made the list. So we're going to talk about these lists, and I'll show you guys all the players, the arenas, the coaches that were in this poll. So players that you wouldn't want to fight with. Okay, we'll start with that one. So they had Isaiah Stewart as someone that you would. I'll just read it for you. Who in the league would you least like to fight? So obviously James Johnson comes in at first with 53.6% of the votes, which no surprise there. MMA fighter, black belt in karate, just a total like ass kicker, right? Steven Adams came in at second with 16.8% of the votes. And coming in at third, Detroit Pistons own Isaiah Stewart with 6.4% of the votes. Obviously, we'll go down the list real quick. Joel Embiid and Draymond Green both had 4% of the votes. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Boban Marjanovic had 2.4% of the votes. And Bobby Portis and Marcus Morris Sr. had 1.6% of the votes. But this is, I feel like you could take this two ways. And I feel like a lot of Pistons fans are probably going to take it this way. This isn't a list you want to be on. This isn't a list that you should be proud to be on. This is a list that maybe you should focus more on not getting in fights and altercations off the court. But I don't really think this is a big deal. I think, if anything, just this, shows me that Isaiah Stewart is not a player that opposing teams, or I should say opposing players, want to get in a fight with. And there's a lot of evidence. I mean, you can go to his rookie year, to the LeBron James fight, to the altercation this season with Drew Eubanks, which we never really got footage on, so we don't even know if it actually happened. But I think that most of you guys probably would agree that it's not really a list that you should be proud to be on. But I know that we do have some older viewers, and a lot of them grew up on the Bad Boys, and they're probably like, yeah, Forcer. Like, the Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn, just those bruisers, getting the fights back in the, the 80s. And even like Rasheed Wallace and Ben Wallace, like, those days, going to work crew, like, they were enforcers. People weren't really messing with them, but I don't really think you can have enforcers these days in the NBA. I mean, you block a shot awkwardly, it's a flagrant, like, one. Like, it's pretty crazy. Just the way the NBA has changed over the years. But Isaiah Stewart comes in at 3 for players that you would least want to get in a fight with. So that's something, right? So the next poll was players hate playing at Little Caesars Arena. Now, I was kind of surprised by this. I didn't really think LCA, because I'm sure a lot of you guys have been to Little Caesars Arena, much like myself. It's a pretty nice arena. The concessions are nice. The arena is nice. The only thing is parking is kind of expensive if you park in the garage, but there's free parking downtown if you can find it. So this was a player poll from The Athletic, and over 129 people voted in this poll, and they said Little Caesars Arena is the worst arena, or their least favorite arena to play in. They don't like coming to LCA. They don't like coming to Detroit to play. Now, obviously, we talked about Isaiah Stewart and, him being like third on the list for, get players that don't want to get in a fight with him. This, to me, I actually see as a positive, and let me explain why. I think if you're the Detroit Pistons and you come in at number 1, opposing teams don't want to play here. Good. I don't want you feeling comfortable playing in my arena. I want you to feel uncomfortable. I don't want to give you any type of edge that you could possibly beat me. Now, maybe the away locker room is like stripped down and you don't have those comfortable chairs like you do in the home arena and everything like that. Because if you guys been down to LCA and you've been inside the locker room, like the home side of the locker room is really nice. They have, padded chairs for the players, their own lockers, showers, everything. Maybe in the home side, it's not as nice, but hey, I see it as a positive. I really do. Now, I'll just read the rest of the arenas that players don't want to play in. For you guys that are listening on the audio side, so Spectrum Center comes at number 2. That's where the Hornets play. FedEx Forum comes in at third at 8.5%. That's where the Grizzlies play. Capital One Arena is where the Washington Wizards play. They're at 7%. The Delta Center is where the Utah Jazz play. They're also at 7%. You have the Smoothie King Center at 6.2%. Ball Arena is where the Denver Nuggets play. They're at 5.4%. The Paycom Center is where the Oklahoma City Thunder play. They're at 3.9%, much like the Toyota Center. That's where the Rockets play. They're at 3.9%, just like OKC. And then we have 3.1, 3.1, 3.1%, and that is the San Antonio Spurs Arena, which is the Frostbank Center, the Motor Center where the Trailblazers play in Portland, and then the TD Garden with the Boston Celtics at 3.1%. So, again, I think it's a positive. Maybe some fans don't think it's a positive. I think it's a positive from you don't want your opponents being comfortable, right? You don't want them coming into your arena, like having, comfy chairs, ice baths, all stuff like that, right? But I can also see it from another side where, maybe free agency, right? We just talked about free agency at the top of the podcast. Maybe the free agents remember how bad the away locker room was and how hostile the arena was, and they don't want to come play here. Maybe they don't want to come play here. But like I said, if they get turned off by an away locker room and just the passionate, rowdy fans that we do have in Detroit, I don't think they're meant to play here. I think you have to be cut from a different cloth to want to come play for the Detroit Pistons. And we just saw the NFL draft this week. They broke a record. Over 700, it was like 700, almost 800,000 people came to the NFL draft. It was like an all-time record in terms of viewership. Like, people have to start respecting the city of Detroit because it's not a small market. The Lions are showing right now, if you put a good product on the floor, this city can be electric. They really can. So one of the last polls is coaching. Okay. So NBA players wouldn't want to play for Monty. That's the lower third. So I'll show you this last poll. Now, the poll from The Athletic says, which current coach, aside from your own, would you least want to play for? So first place is Tom Thibodeau, comes in at 46.8%. Second place is Doc Rivers at 9.1%. Third place is Monty Williams, coming in at 6.5%. Darvin Ham at fourth place at 5.2%. Then it goes Nick Nurse at 5.2%, Greg Popovich, 5.2%, Steve Clifford, 3.9%, JB Bickerstaff at 2.6%, Rick Carlisle at 2.6%, Steve Kerr at 2.6%, and Eric Spoelstra at 2.6%. So, again, these are anonymous NBA players across the league saying that they would not want to play for Monty Williams. Now, I get it's only 6.5%, but when you only have 77 people voting in this poll, as The Athletic shows, I think that's something. And I do think that we talked about it with the president of basketball operations and how Monty could possibly get let go if the Pobo decides, hey, I want a new coach. I think it's something, as a Piston fan, you should monitor that opposing players wouldn't want to play for him. And that actually kind of reflects free agency too. When you're trying to pitch the free agent saying like, hey, we got 60 million cap. And the player's like, I don't want to play for I don't want to play for Monty. I'm good. Right. Players talk around the league. We see it all the time. We see the jersey swaps. We see them talking, pregame, postgame, whatever. All these players talk in inner circles. They work out together in the summers at those, at those Rico Hind runs, even the Stanley Remy runs. Like these NBA players talk around the league, and obviously, players around the league are like, hey, like I'm not really feeling too comfortable, playing for Monty Williams. So it's kind of a strike against the Pistons if you're talking about free agency. It really is.